that peak. Oh, I've been grinding all week. Ain't no stopping me. Oh, I ain't getting no sleep till I touch that peak. Oh, I've been grinding all week. Ain't no stopping me. Ain't no stopping me. Ain't no stopping me. Till I touch that peak. Oh, I've been grinding all week. Ain't no stopping me. Oh, I ain't getting no sleep till I touch that peak. Oh, I've been grinding all week. Ain't no stopping me. Ain't no stopping me. Ain't no stopping me. Till I touch that peak. Oh, I've been grinding all week. Ain't no stopping me. Oh, I ain't getting no sleep till I touch that peak. Oh, I've been grinding all week. Ain't no stopping me. Ain't no stopping me. Ain't no stopping me. Till I touch that peak. Oh, I've been grinding all week. Ain't no stopping me. Oh, I ain't getting no sleep till I touch that peak. Oh, I've been grinding all week. Ain't no stopping me. Ain't no stopping me. Ain't no stopping me. Till I touch that peak. Oh, I've been grinding all week. Ain't no stopping me. Oh, I ain't getting no sleep till I touch that peak. Oh, I've been grinding all week. Ain't no stopping me. Ain't no stopping me. Ain't no stopping me.
The 9/11 terrorist attacks on America, the United States-Afghanistan war was to become the longest in American history when in 2001, as part of Operation Enduring Freedom, they began an occupation which would last for the next 20 years. The initial aim was to remove the Taliban regime, and by doing so, leave terrorist groups such as Al-Qaeda, who were believed to be behind the 9/11 attacks, with no support within the area. Unfortunately, the magnitude of this task was severely underestimated, and in battling not only with insurgent groups, but also with harsh terrain, there was very little progress, and many lives were lost with billions of dollars spent. In time, with the intention of building a self-governing and more stable country, the US soldiers began training the Afghan armed forces and police. Repairs to infrastructure and programs promoting healthcare and education were initiated, but with widespread corruption and ethnic division within Afghanistan, progress was slow and intermittent, with peace talks deadlocked and the Taliban refusing to participate in any conference until all foreign troops left. In 2021, under President Biden, the last remaining American soldiers were withdrawn.
In a really bad way, too. But we won't talk about that, will we? Or will we? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Rise of Middle America. I am AK, your favorite guy. And tonight, Ramaswamy is in some hot water after his security debacle. Then we continue part 2 of our deep dive into regime changes in past, present, and future. So sit back and relax as Rise of Middle America starts now.
I'm hiding all me, so lonely. I'm hiding all me, so lonely.
What up, what up, Scrap Chalk?
What's going on, man? What's going on? What's good? What's good?
Doing good, doing good. It's been a we started off with regime change part 1, and then I completely forgot that I was going to be on vacation the next week. I was like, man, I should have started the week after. But you know, things happen. We got family time.
Imagine that we have families and we have work, we have lives. It's almost like this is a side gig.
almost seems like that at some times, and then other times it's fantastic, right? You know, we get to meet great people, and then we just go on crazy droughts where we just spew a bunch of the Rust Belt rage.
We expect.
Dude, you should do it. You should do it. We talked about it. Well, I'm not going to say it, but you should do it. You should definitely do it. I'll create one too, and then it's going to be great. You guys will find out in I don't know, June or July.
Most of our good ideas are like that time in the Bible where that guy spilled his seed on the ground. It's like for naught. And he gets punished for it later. It's like, that was a good idea. We should have done it. Should have followed through.
That's just hilarious.
In the moment, felt good. Did nothing with it.
That's fun. Yeah. Anyways, but here's something you guys can do. You can go to riseofmiddleamerica.com and check out our lineup of podcasts from history to news, pop culture, true crime. We got a show for all your needs. We also got a Discord where all the magic happens for Rise of Middle America. You want to be a podcast host, producer, researcher, or writer for us, it's the only place where you can be a part of the fastest growing community on Rumble, on YouTube, on X. Let's do it at the top of the page.
Is it really Rise of Middle America, or are we just trying to get a rise out of Middle America?
You naughty boy, you.
Oh wait, that was the quiet part. I shouldn't have said that. That's Noski's show.
Oh,
my bad.
Bad. We're going to get ourselves in a lot of trouble here. All right. So please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification button so you don't miss a moment of the action. Now, without further ado, let's rant. Okay, so we had an issue with Ramaswamy, right? A small little mishap, maybe a little hiccup in his campaign. Do you mind explaining to us what's going on?
Yeah, it's not something that people are really talking about. Like Ohio is kind of on this kind of a back burner right now. This is primary season. It's a swing state. We don't really have that hot of anything going on in Ohio. It's pretty bland considering the rest of politics. The establishment has come in and played kingmaker and said, we've got our guy in, and everyone's pretty much just ignoring Ohio. I haven't seen anything for the Democrats. They're not out here trying to, like influence our campaign a whole lot or anything. So like we're about to talk about some stuff about Vivek Ramaswamy that's a little bit different than what most people are out there talking about. It's not necessarily him, but his security detail has ran into some issues, and it's interesting. No one's talking about it. It's something different. And yeah, we should pull up we should pull up the links that we've got here.
All right. So who is Arc Protection Group?
So Arc Protection Group is the company that Vivek Ramaswamy, and I don't know if it's through him directly or through his campaign, has employed and contracted with to provide protection to his family. And in today's day and age where you have crazy people targeting Republicans and anti-establishment types and all of that, and in general, it makes sense. They're in Ohio. This is also an Ohio company, or was an Ohio company up till recently. We'll get to that. So they're an executive protection, estate security, event security. But a few weeks ago, one of their guys that was tasked with being on the detail for Vivek's family got arrested for federal drug charges.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So like their website looks legit. Now we talked to some of our guys inside the Discord that do this kind of work, and they're like, yeah, there's tons of these companies that just pop up out of nowhere. They're fly by night kind of thing. There's very few of the large companies that get caught up in this, but there are a couple. But this guy, so this is ABC6, and this was reported right out of Ohio, out of Cleveland. Ramaswamy's family is getting new security firm after the bodyguard was accused of drug trafficking. And look, there's even pictures. It is not nothing. It's not like they just kind of, busted him in his car being out with family, and maybe somebody had some medicinal, because medicinal and recreational is a thing now in Ohio. But let's scroll down here a little bit, and we'll read a little bit off the top here. So Justin Salisbury of Bellefontaine, Ohio, was arrested last year, accused of using the U.S. postal system for drugs. Remember, what's his name back in the day? That FPS Russia.
Yeah.
Safety is number one priority. Well, priority mail got him in trouble. We'll just put it that way. And his wife was a teacher at Urbana schools, and later was similarly charged in federal court. School teacher and a security guy busted on federal drug charges. Prior to that arrest, he worked for Arc Protection and was on Ramaswamy's security detail. The campaign said he cleared multiple background checks, FBI, BCI, never failed a drug screen. He was just runner. He was doing more than just executive security for Ramaswamy, obviously.
This is what we call in the hood pushing weight.
Pushing weight. That's right. And apparently he didn't have enough cushion for that pushing. Because he got busted. All right. New statement Friday. Connie Luck, spokesperson for Ramaswamy, said that they're transitioning to a new service provider. Obviously. So this is all like statements from the group and all of that. And Arc Protection said, we're sorry to disappoint the family. On and on. Federal court documents. So this is a lengthy investigation. Bulk shipments of narcotics, mail system, meth, fentanyl, MDMA, and other controlled substances, nicotine pouch containers with controlled substances that belong to his wife. Like with her, they found it with her school badge. I mean, all of her stuff's together. And, it's like, how deep does this go? I want to know more about that than really about the rest of the Vivek stuff or then Arc Security or Protection Group. But we'll continue on.
Well, here's the thing. Like, my question is, like, what protocols do you go through to get security for candidates, right? Because if all of this got through, then there's a serious breach of trust in, like,
I want to know what I want to know is like how long they were contracted for Vivek and how long they were investigating. Like, you'd think somebody in the FBI would be like, "Hey, bro, we're investigating your dude. Like, you might not want you might want to, somebody in the establishment or whatever. Who knows? Maybe this was a poison pill thing. Maybe they knew and somebody was like, hey, you need some security. Go get this guy. And it's meant to like be kind of like dirt on Ramaswamy. Because we're not here saying that Ramaswamy was in on any of this or knew anything about it. I mean, I'm sure there's some yarn pullers out there that are
absolutely,
that are like, oh, Ramaswamy is a big pharma guy and he's got this security dude that's pushing all of these illicit substances and so there's the hookup. Like, I'm sure there's some Candace Owens mental gymnastics happening somewhere on the internet, but that's not what we're saying here. Yeah. So she had some comments on it. She reportedly told investigators that she helped her husband by putting pills in the mailbox for people to pick up. Oh, so she's out there putting them in. They're
pushing weight,
bro. They use the not just the mail system. Like, dude, can you imagine a mail carrier? Most people don't realize that if you put something in the mailbox and put the little flag up, the mailman takes it and ships it. Like, looks at it, goes, got postage, and cool. All right, I'm going to take it and I'm going to ship it. Like, they pick it up directly from your house. I wonder how much of that was like just actually letting the mail carrier take it, or like maybe there was something in there and the mailman was like, this looks funky. I don't know. But it's like,
I know, Hardy. I agree.
She was doing, it was steroids, blue pills, orange pills, a cooler a couple times a week, past 6 months at the direction of Salisbury, her husband. Rankin was released on her own recognizance, but had to surrender her passport, and her husband still remains in the Franklin County jail. Franklin County is Columbus, by the way. So that's not where this ends, though. For this ARC protection group, roll the next one.
Actually,
but wait, there's more. There's
more.
Hold on. There's more memberships. Bring that back. I saw that.
Hold on a second, because it says the page is not found. Oh, they must have taken it down.
No, it's not. It can't be page not found. Thank you, Funkmaster General. Rise of Middle American memberships. Get them while they're hot.
Yeah, that means you have to subscribe to us on YouTube, and that's how you get them. Funkmaster is our #1 fan, so thank you very much.
I need to get something on my soundboard that every time he gifts or super chats, it's like some average white band horn section fanfare for a second. Like, I need that.
Well,
for
no, that's 70s mix band. But anyways, go ahead.
But yeah, like, so this company, okay, so this worked. Go to the Discord. Use the Discord links. It should come right up. The Cleveland.com one. Ohio revokes the licenses of the company.
Licenses. Hey, there it is.
Yeah.
All right, let me pull this over here.
Yeah. So,
boom, there we go.
So, Ohio security firm hired by Vivek closes its doors amid controversies. Yeah, this just happened in the last few days.
This is about to get spicy.
So the owner of the security firm guarding the gubernatorial candidate Vivek Ramaswamy has closed its business and voluntarily terminated its state license after revelations that 2 of its bodyguards were unregistered and a third was we just talked about the federal drug trafficking charges.
Right.
Ron Gesboda Jr. You guys forgot he's a junior. It's on his website. Journalism, people. The owner of the Wayne County-based ARC Protection Group notified the Ohio Department of Public Safety in a letter dated last Friday that he has ceased providing security services and is closing, this is quote, closing my business as a company licensee.
Jeez.
And so and I read somewhere else that when asked, and that information is known through the Department of Public Safety, which would be investigating this. They were asked about whether or not they are investigating, and they said, we can neither confirm nor deny, but we have this letter from them that said he's closing shop.
Right. And here's the first thing. The first thought in my head is, who else is this company protecting? Right, because if you can get somebody like Ramaswamy, clearly that goes back to my original question, which was, what are the protocols that you go through to get security for candidates, right?
Right. Well, they've only been in business for 3 years. I looked at their Better Business Bureau, and I looked up I looked them up on this the state website, the ohiosos.gov. You can do business lookups. 3 years. They were or a little more than 3 years, but just about 2022 is when the LLC was incorporated. That's it. And when I was talking with one of our buddies that does security detail work like that. He works for some company, doesn't do executive stuff, but he can. He's equipped for that. He said usually it takes like at least 8 guys to do one detail to even start a company like this, because you have to have somebody working 50 hours a week and other guys on vacation. You have to have rotating schedules. And then like you immediately have to hire more dudes and get this thing ramped up to like 20, 30 people or something like that within a short period of time. If he's losing out to federal drug trafficking charges for one of his guys, and then 2 more aren't even licensed, like what kind of startup is this? Like, I'm not saying these guys don't have some kind of skills, but I want to know more. And I think I'm going to just keep digging more. And if I find something else that's interesting, we'll bring it back around. But this is the kicker. DeWine, the current governor, because the establishment is completely backing Ramaswamy. They've been doing it since a year ago, way before our primary. Our primary is not even done yet. They're back. They've got a bill in to provide state-funded, taxpayer-funded security for gubernatorial candidates, specifically for Ramaswamy and Amy Acton. But why just those 2? Why are we assuming that it's Ramaswamy when we still have Casey Pooch, who's running against Vivek? So they're calling it a bipartisan legislation. Yeah, okay, whatever. But so like right now, what it says here, state law only requires the Ohio State Highway Patrol to provide security for the governor. But this would extend Ohio's lieutenant that to the Ohio's lieutenant governor, the governor-elect, lieutenant governor-elect, gubernatorial nominees, and any other political candidates deemed to warrant protection by DeWine. So it's kind of like a unilateral powers extension.
Right, which is how it should be. Right, especially if you're going for a position like governor. I mean, the governor is protected 24/7 by the state. I mean, you pay the taxes for that, right?
Yeah, and it's not like we're saying that I don't care whether or not, I don't want people to have protection. I think they should, especially as like things heat up and whatnot. And we've never really had any candidates in Ohio that rose to that level, right? But with JD Vance, who's from Ohio, things have, people been after his family or like out around his property. Things have happened with not just with influencers, but in politicians. And this has been going on for years now, off and on. It's interesting to see how this has escalated to the position now. And I don't think this has escalated from that stuff. I think it's directly related to Vivek, to this issue with Vivek losing his security detail with this, like, and it's like, if he has the ability to pay for one, why can't he find another one? Why does the state have to step in to do this? If the state wants to justify this on the grounds that they're saying, I'm cool with that. But it's funky, it's weird, and it's suspect. And even Casey Pooch has something to say about it. If you bring up his tweet, taxpayer-funded security for Amy Acton and Vivek Ramaswamy. Where's my security? If they do this and don't provide it for me, then when I'm on the ballot, this proves they're 100% corrupt and evil.
Absolutely.
Think about RFK being denied Secret Service details and then having to pay for it himself.
Yep. Yeah, but I mean, but RFK's situation was a lot worse than that, because you got to remember, we talked about this way last year, actually even last year, the year before that. When I talked about how he wasn't screwed over once. Actually, I talked about this on Timcast. He wasn't screwed over once because he didn't get a chance to debate Biden. He was screwed over twice because then they didn't allow him to debate Kamala Harris, which was one of the weirdest situations that we've ever seen. When you talk about, oh, we must follow policy and rules and traditions and things like that. And all of a sudden, it was clear that was the reason why they did it. There's no other reason why you would. Considering he got about 3% of the vote.
Right.
So somebody's voting for him. What we got here? Yeah, man. Average white band, worse considering I'm an average white funk.
Bro. Well, I don't know how it is a bunch of bagpiping Scotsmen got down on the horn section like that, but they absolutely rocked the 70s. Their tunes are the best. Like Average White Band is my favorite funk band out there. I'm a Parliament fan. All of the iterations of everything George Clinton touched. Kool and the Gang, Earth, Wind and Fire. Like the only reason AWB didn't get the Grammy for Cut the Cake was because they lost out to Earth, Wind and Fire. And if you're going to lose out to anyone in that era, it's them. Like,
oh, absolutely. Especially Earth, Wind and Fire. I mean, they had all the hits. They had all the
shining
hits.
Star, no matter who you are, shining bright to see what you could truly be. What you could truly be.
We've turned into what was it? Dude. MTV uncut or uncensored or whatever it was called.
My MTV.
We need that back. We need to go back to the 90s. Oh my God.
Dude, MTV's done now. Their last broadcast was at the end of 2025 at midnight on December 31st. They're no longer. They're defunct. Speaking of funk. Next segment.
Past, present, and future. Oh, all right. So before we move forward tonight, we need to briefly ground ourselves where we were last week. All right. Because what we laid out wasn't just history. It was an operating system behind U.S. foreign policy. All right. So the last episode, we had a simple but uncomfortable question. Is regime change actually good? Right. Does it just feel necessary in the moment? And to answer that, we went all the way back, not to drugs and cartels, not to terrorism with, ISIS or whatnot, but to ideology. All right. So specifically Cold War mindset, a world where like U.S. leaders were believed that the instability anywhere could be from a communist foothold. Right. And therefore it was like a direct threat to American security. And that logic hardened really fast. Just talk to your grandparents. But you got things like the Truman Doctrine, NSC 68. You got the containment at all costs. You've got the democracy wasn't the test. Stability wasn't the goal. The only real question was, are they or could they be communist or communist adjacent? So once that took hold, then, intervention was like that was the goal. It was like, all right, well, we got to stop this from happening, regardless of what happened. Iran in 53, Guatemala in 54, Chile in the 70s. You got different countries, different leaders, different, same pattern, different pressures, economic destabilization. We all know about that with some CIA files that have come out as of recently. And then regime removals, followed by that authoritarian stability. And each time the justification sounded oddly familiar, right? We had no choice. The alternative was worse. I don't know what to tell you. So basically choices didn't matter. You disappear and the headlines fade. Iran doesn't forget 1953, Guatemala in 1954, Chile in 1973. All these things stack up over time, right? And they compound and eventually come back to bite you in the ass.
Accurate.
Yeah. So,
it's like a boomerang that you don't know how to catch.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, especially when you topple over, authoritarian regimes, yeah, the people are happy, but then you've got the small groups that kind of form that together that are like, okay, so you think you're going to do that? I mean, look at what happened in Vietnam, right? We went into Vietnam and we literally got our asses handed to us. But for what reason, right?
Because we weren't letting our guys go win a war. There was no end state. It was just what it was. I mean, we tried, and I'll say this: Korea wasn't for naught. That was a real like attempt. We got stuck in the end of Korean War was basically like what happened to the Germans when they went into Russia in the middle of winter, like Napoleon did before him. Like that was nasty, and our retreat was an epic one.
They didn't order from North Pole.
Dude, Korean War was an absolute like it was worth it, but it wasn't like it didn't end well. Like so, but by the time we got into Vietnam and we're doing all this, we were so spread and doing so many other stupid things. It's hard to tell exactly what they were trying to do in Vietnam, but if the end result, really the outcome of it, is what we all see. Our troops come home, get spat on and anti-war. They were sent into something that they didn't ask to be sent into because they were conscripted and drafted, and we should have been grateful to have our boys home. Instead, they were called baby killers and all kinds of stuff. And then, yeah, that's kind of what happened a little bit during the Middle Eastern stuff too. So, I feel
but I think there was a different sentiment because we were attacked.
There was,
we were attacked. So like for every person that did that, there were 10 people that were like, you better chill out, buddy, or things are going to happen, but back then there was really no answer. And going back to things today, a lot of the reasons why there's a lost sentiment to the parties is because they're not solving for X. Right. They're trying to solve. They're not really even trying to solve anything. They're just they're bringing out their own personal beliefs versus what their constituents voted you in to do, and they're not solving for X. And you're gonna and if you think about that, right, that you can pretty much come up with any argument to destroy anyone that does not do that. So
if we're gonna do something, if we're gonna go somewhere, and start wars and fight people, there better be a good reason for it, and we better have an exit game. It's easy to get into a fight. It's hard to get out of one if you don't know how.
Yeah, maintaining power structures instead of solving problems. Isaac Sundman.
And it's a lot of there's a lot of proxy warring too.
Oh, of course.
It's basically ongoing proxy wars at this point. We're just throwing troops at them to fatigue, economies and destabilize places over resources. It's open war with these other countries. It's just not. It just hasn't been honest. It hasn't been honest war with our own people about what that is, and that's why people are mad these days. So yeah,
Absolutely. All right. So so to kind of close this out, and then I've got a video to show everybody.
we're gonna talk about it.
Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna talk about it. It brings us to our final point, which is 9/11, right? It happens. The U.S. doesn't invent a new foreign policy, so to speak. It reactivates an old one. There's a threat of inflation. There's regime removal, nation building. Justified by fear. Hey, if you don't elect me, we're all gonna die, right? So then you got Afghanistan, Iraq, different enemies, same playbook. That's how it goes.
Oh, we didn't even have to flinch to reelect Bush at that point because he said all the right things. Everything come out. We had to right off the rip. It was like, we're gonna go get them terrorists wherever they are. Show them no quarter. We got more strategery than they got turbines. Like basically was the sentiments right of that era, and it's
Right.
like that was basically it. We were like, yeah, let's go get them.
Tell me about it. Yeah. And the thing is that because so many people were touched by, the deaths that happened on that day, everybody was on the same page, and then it brings up things like the Patriot Act, which the Patriot Act, we will talk about this because I've got a lot to talk about on that particular bill, or not even bill, but act. But that's going to be next week because I'm going to do a lot of research. There's a lot of research I've already done on it. And next week, that's going to be front and center. I promise you guys,
we'll do the first segment for it, and then then finish this out.
I'm done. I'm down. I'm totally down for that. Yes. So with the foundation set with that, let's talk about what happens after the towers fall, when the war on terror replaces the Cold War, which is what it did. And then the Middle East becomes a new proving ground for an old way of thinking. So let's go ahead and get into that. You guys probably have seen this video before, so we're going to play it again, and we'll stop and have our commentary.
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some
if you got some volume on
staff who used to work for me. And one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, No. He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know."
20th of
I guess they don't know what else
September.
to do.
That's 9 days after the towers
I said, "Well,
fall.
did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So
I love that saying because that perfectly expresses like exactly what that was.
So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today. And he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran." I said, "Is it classified?" He said, "Yes, sir." I said,
Hold up. Before the levity kicks in, it's Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Iran. Now, a couple of these countries in a certain time, in that time frame, it's like a 5-year wish list that they wanted to deal with these countries. Obviously, they didn't get to all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But some of them they worked through foreign policy and blockades and like partnerships with Saudi Arabia, and then there were other snafus that happened within that time frame as well, including toppling Muammar Gaddafi in Libya,
Yep.
and then later the Benghazi under and the death of our ambassador Stevens in that Hillary Clinton was involved in. Like this era is absolutely packed full of failure and foreign policy debt that eventually Trump would have to deal with later. But yeah, because continue with this if we're going to talk a little bit more
I
about
said, well,
this.
don't show it to me. And I saw him a year or so ago, and I said, you remember that? He said, sir, I didn't show you that memo. I didn't show it to you.
I'm sorry, what did you say his name was?
I'm not going to give you his name.
So go through the countries again.
Well, starting with Iraq, then Syria and Lebanon, then Libya, then Somalia and Sudan, and then back to Iran. So when you look at Iran, you say, is it a replay? It's not exactly a replay, but here's the truth, that Iran from the beginning.
One thing you also have to understand is with all of those countries, that's a lot of land that you have to cover. Like people don't understand how big of an area that part of the Middle East is. It's not small. It's like almost if you were to take out the eastern seaboard of the United States, every other state combined, that's how big this area is.
Yeah.
So you know how many resources that you need out in the middle of nowhere? It's not like you're at home where there's gas stations right down the street, right? You have to send over ammunition, you have to send over weapons, you have to send over tanks, you have to send over not just what do you call it? Jets, you have to send over helicopters, you have to send over food and rations for everybody, you have to send over medical equipment, you have to send over that's a lot of crap that you have to get
Libya
over there.
Look here, if you follow my mouse, you got Libya, Sudan. Libya and Sudan are here. They're huge. But, these countries are mostly, this is sub-Saharan right here. This is desert. I mean, we've got pyramids and stuff out here.
Yep.
So most of this is like, here's Benghazi. And for those that are Marines, there's Tripoli. The shores of Tripoli. There you go. Shout out, Uras. But Benghazi's here, on the other side of Egypt, which Egypt had its own issues with the Muslim Brotherhood and said, screw you guys, because that was an Obama era mess that happened as well. Sudan's down here. I'm not sure what the deal is with Sudan. We didn't actually go into Sudan. This was one of those countries that we used foreign policy on. Yep, that was the plan we executed. Pretty bad results. Has nothing to do with our ability to conduct war, but a political desire to occupy those places. Yeah, people that just didn't agree with us, and we wanted to, create some stability. A lot of this stuff was because, China and Russia are trying to build inroads with these guys. And it's all proxy war stuff, whether it's covert or overt, it's proxy war. And we're dealing with Saudi Arabia all the time, and they're constantly doing they went into Yemen and have been doing all kinds of bad stuff down here that we've been funding as well. But yeah, let's see. Afghanistan is way over here, guys, on the other side of Iran. This is the guys that allegedly blew our towers up. 3 of them, if anyone didn't remember, Building 7, and then dropped a plane in the middle of a field in Pennsylvania and then on the Pentagon. We could go into 9/11 for absolute days on end. Let's not do that.
Have we done an episode on 9/11?
We've talked about bits and pieces of it over time, but we've not really dove into it. But Afghanistan's all the way out here, peoples. Right? And there's Pakistan, all that. Iraq is here. and Syria. Like these, and then Iran is between them, right? So we kind of
How
jump
big
over
Iran is.
all over. Well, yeah. Plus, this is not a globe. It's a projected map because it's flat. But
Mhm.
you know, that's not the actual size of Greenland. People, Greenland's actually more like the size of the coast of America. But this is
Lies, bro.
yeah, this is a
Lies.
navigation map. It distorts everything north and south of the equator. I lost my
If that's
mouse.
the case,
I don't know where my
Antarctica
mouse.
is
Oh, my mouse died.
bigger than all the land combined.
My mouse died.
Oh no!
Anyway, get that off the
Yeah,
map anyway, or I'm off the screen while I get my mouse back together.
Gotcha. We'll go back to listening to Boring Man.
Beginning has seen that the presence of the United States in Iraq was a threat. A blessing, because we took out Saddam Hussein and the Baathists. They couldn't handle them. We took care of it for them. But also a threat because they knew that they were next on the hit list. And so, of course, they got engaged. They lost 1 million people during the war with Iraq. And they've got a long and unprotectable, unsecurable border. So it was in their vital interest to be deeply involved inside Iraq. They tolerated our attacks on the Baathists. They were happy we captured Saddam Hussein, but they're building up their own network of influence, and to cement it, they occasionally give some military assistance and training and advice, either directly or indirectly, to both the insurgents and to the militias. And
oh, you mean like the
in that sense,
Mujahideens?
it's not exactly parallel.
Guys that we
because
trained that
there has
were
been,
double
I believe,
agents
continuous
against us?
Iranian engagement. Some of it legitimate, some of it illegitimate. I mean, you can hardly fault Iran because they're offering to do eye operations.
Yeah, and that was something that I've always wanted. Whoops, sorry, took myself off the screen there. That's always something that I've wondered is what about the operations that we did to train them and then they turned around and killed us because they didn't know any better, and but yet when you were in the military back then, you couldn't question those things without getting into a lot of serious trouble.
Yeah, depending on on what conflict you were talking about, whether it was
Mm-hmm.
Syria or Iraq, the Obama administration was calling the same people either insurgents and terrorists or freedom fighters.
Right.
These guys were playing both sides of the border and of the conflict, and our State Department knew about it. That was the biggest problem in the Middle East, and like our guy here in the chat said, this cultural differences in the Middle East. Bring that up. Want that? Clickies. There we go. Got it. Cultural differences in the Middle East have not been conducive to a forced Western style government.
Yes.
That's the other thing. These guys have their own. They have their own culture. That is, even though there's a split between Shia Sunni, take Afghanistan today. After there was a British journalist that went in to Afghanistan and like not long after Biden pulled everything out and just left a whole bunch of our gear there. There's like 20 different sub factions in Iraq, but in Afghanistan right now, running that place. And it's not like a third world hellscape like you might think.
Well, that's how it was beforehand. It was always broken up because you got to remember they have in Afghanistan. It's not like you have counties and municipalities and things like that. No, you had what do you call it? Different villages, and each village or different regions of villages had their own representation.
Yeah, and I don't know how their tribal politics work out there, but there's religious leaders. So like Islam, generally in these countries, they'll have like a religious iconoclast, a figure, and they'll have a military guy, somebody that knows how to run the military and like train guys and has that. Like Israel's the same way. They've been that historically. They've always had two main factions, one that's very religious and one that's that has like that has that militant kind of thing. And then when they get together, they get and do certain things that are on the more extreme ends. That's when bad stuff happens. Islam comes prepackaged with its own type of government, Sharia law, all of that. And they don't all agree on it. They all kind of fight amongst each other to some degree. But when you get when you get somebody who's able to mobilize all of them together in certain ways, that's when you start getting bad things happening. And we've tried to meddle in that to a degree where, yeah, Saddam was a dictator. Yeah, maybe Muammar Gaddafi was heavy-handed. But the things they don't tell you is like Saddam Hussein's over here trying to rebuild Iraq as an independent state and get away from the radicals and keep his boot on their neck so that way they don't destroy society. You have Muammar Gaddafi over here in Libya that was talking about gold standards and real economic stuff. And then our State Department comes in there after he makes this really, really interesting speech at the UN and get Hillary Clinton saying things like, we came, we saw, he died, ha ha ha.
We conquered.
What?
No, that's crazy. And to even think about how they went after Osama bin Laden, listen, these guys knew where he was at all times.
Yeah, well, Osama bin Laden was a kind of a reject from the Saudi royalty in their circles. He came from money. He became kind of a radical and then ousted, and he tried to move up through the ranks in there, and he bucked that system. I don't know all the details of it. I'm sure somebody in the chat and in the audience does know those details, but I know at least that's true. He had those connections. And I believe his dad or like his uncle or somebody in his immediate family was in construction. So like if you're in the Middle East and you can do construction or anything with natural resources and that stuff, your money. A lot of like Saudi Arabia, Arabs do construction and natural resources like India does like pharmaceuticals and technology. Like that's kind of the thing, so, but point is we knew where the guy was. We knew where Saddam was at all times. We found his little foxhole that he was buried in with a bag of Snickers. Like, I mean,
there was a point, right? In
I'd be stress eaten too if I knew that they were coming for me.
There was a point in 2010 where they had him in a mountain and somehow they lost him. Somehow. Right. You mean to tell me with all the technology we even had back then, which now seems normal, but they had back then that nobody else had, you had no way of capturing this person on a mountain?
Well, to be fair, Afghanistan it was basically Russia's Vietnam. Okay, like it's nasty terrain, it's harsh, it's not very well traversable. I mean, but also, to be fair, Russia doesn't have a very good track record of traversing terrain anyway. Like, unless it's ice and frozen and hard, like their stuff falls right into the mud of Ukraine. And then also like Afghanistan is like really, really rough, like hard to get around. There's tunnels everywhere. These guys know those tunnels. And those tunnels are hard to find. And in certain places in the Middle East, the ground is so full of salt that you can't use ground penetrating radar. It bounces right off the ground. It's very difficult, but they can salt the ground. They can do the topography from the sky, but we're talking Cold War era proxy wars that Russia wasn't very good at. It's not a welcoming place. It's not a welcoming place. It's kind of a wasteland in some areas, especially out there where we were trying to find this guy all hidden. But that's not like we can't. Our CIA and our State Department isn't good at finding connections and infiltrating. I mean, we eventually got the guy, but that stuff is just them burning assets. In my book,
Oh, absolutely.
It's just burning assets. The damage is done. We have, and so, but yeah, let's move this along. We can keep rambling, but let's see what else we got. This guy's got to say
For
about
Iraqis who need medical attention. That's not an offense that you can go to war over, perhaps, but it is an effort to gain influence. And the administration has stubbornly refused to talk with Iran about their perception, in part because they don't want to pay the price with their our U.S. domestic political base, the right-wing base, but also because they don't want to legitimate a government that they've been trying to overthrow. If you were Iran, you'd probably believe that you were mostly already at war with the United States anyway, since we've asserted that their government needs regime change. So, and we've asked Congress to.
1979. We talked about this.
yeah.
Because Iran before 1979 looked more like us.
Yeah. And we need to kind of backtrack a smidge to that in the 50s. There's some stuff that I've come across that makes us kind of look at that different, because in our previous episode, we talked about how the CIA in the 50s played a coup and installed the Shah. Well, the Shah was already in exile, but the Shahs had been in power previously, and there was some kind of a coup that had happened there. There was some political unrest, and that's in our, are they communist adjacent, blah, blah, blah. And so the Shahs were kind of deposed. The prime minister that was there, the Shahs had power to remove them to some degree, more or less. So there's there's some debate on whether or not we should have done that or shouldn't have. The main thing was the oil, the resources. We wanted their allegiance, so we came in and we put our finger on the scale of a political issue that was not something we invented. So that's the fair take on that. So the Shahs got back in power, 70s come around, a color revolution gets how would you say taken advantage of by the mullahs, or by the imams, the Ayatollah. That's what it is, the Ayatollah. And then we end up with the Iran we have.
Exactly.
That's basically what happened there. And you're right, they were a westernized country. They were being prosperous. And then the other side of the coin turned on us, and we ended up having the current Iran we have. And so now we've had to deal with them because they're backed by Russia. That was one of those pieces on the table that got taken by the communists in their favor. Communists don't care if there's radicals on their side, as long as they're fighting the people they're trying to fight. They don't care. I mean, they're willing to do the frenemy thing too. Like we do that with Saudi Arabia, but at least the Saudis are more about the money and the prestige. And
we know that.
Yeah, they're less Saudis aren't great on a lot of fronts as far as human rights and women's rights and different things of that nature, but they're more about their money than they are their religion. Let's just be honest. So we exploit that. That's our foreign policy exploits people who just want their wealth and their prestige and their stuff. So yeah,
exactly.
To appropriate $75 million to do it, and we are supporting terrorist groups apparently who are infiltrating and blowing up things inside Iran. And if we're not doing it, let's put it this way, we're probably cognizant of it and encouraging it. So it's not surprising that we're moving to a point of confrontation and crisis with Iran. My point on this is not that the Iranians are good guys, they're not, but that you shouldn't use force except as a last resort. There is a military option, but it's a bad one.
I wanted to get your response to Seymour Hersh's piece in The New Yorker to two key points this week. Reporting the Pentagon's established a special planning group within the Office of the Joint Chiefs of Staff to plan a bombing attack on Iran. That This is coming as the Bush administration and Saudi Arabia are pumping money for covert operations into many areas of the Middle East, including Lebanon, Syria, and Iran, in an effort to strengthen Saudi-supported Sunni Islam groups and weaken Iranian-backed Shia.
So let's talk about those three countries. So was it Libya, Lebanon, and Iran, right? Because Lebanon, there was no invasion or like a regime change, but the U.S. influence mainly was diplomatic, right?
Yeah. And Lebanon is not a country that is like really known for being like a cesspool or anything. Or actually, it's pretty beautiful countryside. Like, and the people there aren't terrible, but when you have two factions like in Islam fighting like they do, it degrades the ability of the Lebanese people to live their lives. Like, I've met people that are like second gen, first gen Americans that have immediate and grandparents, family from Lebanon, and it's like, yeah, it's a problem. And so our meddling fuels that fire to some degree, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And then I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, keep it up.
No, yeah. So no, we move on to Libya. You know, this was during the Obama era, right? And NATO had to have some sort of an intervention, I believe, in 2011. And this is Gaddafi, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was killed in the country, you know.
He was dragged into the street and sodomized.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
It was really bad.
Exactly. And then you've got militias, you know, they've got the arms trafficking was through the roof, you know, in that country. And basically it was like, you know, whoever had the bigger guns made the rules at that point.
Yep.
You know, and then of course we've got Iran, which a lot of people think we invaded, but we really didn't. But there was a lot of sanctions, there was cyber war, there were assassinations. Stuxnet, yeah, Stuxnet. I forgot about that
because they had the short story on Stuxnet was our NSA state-sponsored hacking squad was commissioned by, I believe it was under Obama. Hey, we need to take out their nuclear program, but we can't bomb it, or can we? And then so because their nuclear facilities were air-gapped, not connected to the internet, they couldn't. There was no surface, no public surface to anything. They created a Trojan self-replicating virus that was designed to control industrial systems, specifically the ones that controlled the centrifuges for enriching uranium. And so Stuxnet was unleashed into the world. And so the thought was, well, let's just send this everywhere in the world. And so literally every computer in the freaking world ended up with a government-made super virus that did nothing until it found those control systems. And eventually it found its way onto an Iranian scientist's laptop and then into that facility, and it overloaded the centrifuges and crashed them. And then the rest of the cybersecurity community around the world spent the next few years removing it from everything that existed in the world. So Stuxnet became a big thing in the cyber community. Go look it up. It's kind of fun. There's a good podcast on Stuxnet by Jack Resider of Darknet Diaries. It's a good coverage of it. Shout out to him. Not that he listens to this, but y'all go find it.
Taylor says Stuxnet, the herpes type 1 of the IT world.
Yep. Yep. Tay-Tay's not wrong. Tay's not wrong.
Not at all. Yeah. So to kind of close out this section, Benghazi in Libya 2012, covert CIA operations, illicit arms being moved, Clinton State Department approved risky security postures that we know of. But the political fallout, you know, they were criticized for those same set security failures. And then, of course, when you look at Obama, the administration was accused of like downplaying the terrorism angle. And they go, oh yeah, nothing's going on right now. You know, we're perfectly fine. We've got the best agents in the world to take care of this situation, even though they were like running with like a chicken with their head cut off.
Yeah.
At that point. Yes, everybody got it, Taylor. Everybody got it.
I got Stuxnet and I'm giving it to you.
But yeah, so the result, obviously, nobody went to jail. Libya remains a failed state, and you know, weapons were fueling conflicts in a whole bunch of other areas, right? So the bottom line is, you know, the 7 countries plan wasn't executed cleanly or fully, but Iraq and Libya, they were completely annihilated.
Yeah, and also let's not forget the meddling in Somalia that just kept stirring that pot. And look at how many refugees that we have now in our country from Somalia that has become the current problem. Let's just tack that on.
You know what?
Let's not forget that our current issue with Somalians in the United States is directly related to what we're talking about right now.
Exactly. And that's why you'll see certain people that have arguments that say, hey, we destroyed all these other countries, so why do you have a problem with them coming here? And you say they're destroying our country, but we already did that to them. So why are you complaining?
I'm complaining because I'm not the one that decided to destroy their country. It was the people in power before I was able to
I didn't hit the red button.
I didn't agree to this social contract, sir. That was okay. We're complaining about it now because we have to deal with it moving forward. That's the issue. So we're trying. So the whole point of this entire series right now, the past and now the present, we're trying to bring this up to the Trump moment. So what do we know right now? What did we learn? What were our big lessons we learned, AK, from the last 20 years since we were in high school?
Yeah. So you can think about we were just talking about Somalia and Syria and Iran. They were destabilized and or pressured, you know, into making those changes. Lebanon, Sudan were weakened indirectly because of that. And then the strategy shifted from going from invasions, going to proxy wars and sanctions, and then now covert ops, like we can't see what's going on. And then in Libya and Benghazi, you know, all the arms, the pipelines, the clearest examples of how regime change actually backfired. It made us look really, really bad. It also killed a lot of people.
A lot of our people too. Mm-hmm. Not as many of ours as there were other countries, you know, the other countries we were in, but our casualties were not nothing.
Absolutely. Charlie Kirk talked about the strategy a lot.
Yep.
I learned more and more why.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, so what do we know and what are those big lessons, right? So regime change doesn't necessarily equal stability, right? Removing leaders without replacing systems, they create chaos because, you know, when we're talking about Venezuela, which we'll be talking about next week, you know, is this a good thing or is it a bad thing? Well, enough time hasn't gone by yet in order to know like what the real goal was for there. Now, it didn't look good that you had all the oil companies on a phone call or in a room with Trump going, hey, by the way, we got all this oil now. What should we do with it?
There's a reason. If you watched last week, we didn't say it outright, but there's a reason we call certain countries banana republics. Okay. We had because there was that banana corporation. That's why we toppled Guatemala, wasn't it? It was one of those countries last week we talked about.
Guatemala, it was in 54.
In 54, we toppled them because there was some American interest in the banana companies down there. And so we call banana republics because they're controlled by corporations and everything is rubber stamped and everything just stays the way, the big money oligarchs want it to be. That's what a banana republic is, technically. So this kind of has hallmarks of that, other than the fact that before Maduro, they had already made agreements with these companies that were American companies. And then Maduro said, no, I own the stuff now. And he unilaterally just said, it's mine. And then he was like, but we'll pay you for it. And then they never did, because they never had any intention to. And so there's a part of me that's like, y'all stole it. And there was some corruption there, but
it's not really.
I digress.
It's like commandeering.
Yeah, I digress though. I'm a little bit like, I'm just saying, if I had a big company, I went to some other country, made deals, and then they turn around and steal all my infrastructure, I'm gonna be mad. So I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's justified in the way they felt about it. And I might want my own personal government to go after him myself. Anyways,
that was good.
Continue.
Yeah, that was number one. All right, so regime change doesn't always equal stability. Number two, all right, military power cannot manufacture a legitimate claim to anything, right? So elections, institutions, armies collapse without a cultural buy-in, right? Which is sort of where we're at right now in the United States.
Yeah,
in a way, because we're talking about the National Guard, like all this other stuff. But if you have a fractured country, people are going to start threatening these things and then saying, but that's why I kind of like where we're at right now, because when people talk about, the federal government has too much power, no, I think that the lobbyists have too much power and are influencing our government in a way in that the people are not getting a say. It's the lobbyists that are paying all of these politicians to go out and say certain things where you're like, why would you say that? It's like, why would you, why would you say that? I'll give you an example, like the recent shutdown, right? The Democrats blamed it on Trump, but it was like, Trump has no control over that. But yet they kept saying it enough to where people would believe it. And it's like,
yeah.
How in the world, like if he actually did that, he would really be a dictator. He would be exactly what you've been calling him all of these years. But yet,
right.
Like they're trying to play both sides of the argument, and it's like that's not.
Well, look at it this way too. They're out there saying, and they're trying to pass. They had a resolution that went out about. We're going to digress a little bit too far off this, because I want to kind of talk about these big lessons we learned from the past and not get too much into
the present
current thing, because we want to talk about that a little bit next week too. But I think this power legitimacy issue is really well explained in Iran. The power, when the power shifted in Iran, the people never really accepted it. And we see that today in their upset with them, with a lot of what's happening there, and that government cracking down and taking away their ability to communicate, the internet, electricity, shooting people in the streets. It comes a point where if you don't rule well, eventually the people will rise up.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not there's outside influence to help them out or not, there's always some outside influence that's willing to come in. We had Lafayette to help us with our American Revolution, which was not like revolutions after it, or even the one before it, the French. The thing about our revolution was we had 13 legitimate governments that all agreed that we were going to rule ourselves and put off a faraway king. It's different when you live inside of your own borders and you're a people being oppressed by a king or a dictator or a government.
Mm-hmm.
That government's legitimacy loses the government loses its legitimacy when the people just stop complying. and especially when they stop complying, regardless of whether you kill them. Like, that really shows a lack of legitimacy. And we installed governments in some of these countries that we were like, yeah, we're going to free these people and they were going to give them democracy and, and tame the wild, Middle Eastern sand savage kind of mentality. They didn't want it. They didn't want it. They wanted our guns. They wanted to gain control, and then they run around and try and stab us in the back. That was the pattern of the Middle East. Military power we were not able to install legitimate democracies. It failed. There was a cultural component that made that fail on top of, going in and just wiping out dictators, So.
And not only that, but I kind of want to stress this. Having an authoritarian or a dictator, a lot of people are like, oh no, we must rid the world, this and that and the other. Believe it or not, you have to think of it as like rock, paper, scissors. Right? There's not many. So I'm not saying this as like a legitimate like cause or whatnot.
Don't backpedal, be spicy.
But there
Come
are
on.
certain scenarios in which authoritarians are needed. Right. But it's very short-lived because it's more the authoritarians are needed to kind of buffer the exchange from one type of society to another. Right.
There is kind of a purpose in that in the course of history where, yeah, there's unrest, there's bad things happening. Someone comes in and cracks down on it, and it makes way for some other kind of change to happen. Is that what you're getting at?
But they act as a buffer, right? So that change doesn't happen so fast that it goes to the other extreme. That's what authoritarians are for, or at least in my mind. Right.
But in our, like we've been saying before, because we covered the communist revolutions. The communist revolutions didn't quite buffer anything. They brought in straight up despotism and death and starvation most of the time, and military crackdowns. Rock, paper, scissors, what the security guy was trying to do. He's smoking rocks. He's running out of papers and running with scissors.
Stop that kid. No, but
oh, no.
but yeah, but there is a spot, but it's a very thin line. It's a very thin line, right? And
yeah, I think I get. Are you saying like these guys that were in power in the Middle East, like we were saying before, like what I kind of said was there were these radical factions within the Middle East that dictators were able to come in with the military power and like squash down these religious quacks that wanted to, bathe the world in blood. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, kind of like to prevent a Genghis Khan. Yeah, you have to have it. And when you look at America right now, and they're saying that, well, Trump's trying to be an authoritarian. They've been saying that for 10 years. It didn't happen in the first term, so we have history here. We're able to see his first term and then the Biden term and then his next term and see how now it's vastly different, but it's because he has to be different. But to say, hey, we're going to hold you at bay your first term, screw everything up during the Biden administration, and then when you come back to try to fix all the things with Biden, you call him an authoritarian. That doesn't make any sense because then you're admitting that you screwed it up in the first place.
You mean with the endless wars?
Yes, the endless wars.
Because that's the other thing that we learned.
Billions of dollars that have come out of our country and into God knows where, and we don't see any of that coming back
to haunt us.
No, it's going to come back to haunt us because it's doing that now.
And the worst part of that was the fact that the American people felt lied to.
Yes.
In that endless war, it was like, when does this stop? It was always one more boogeyman. It was always one more group we had to fight. And then Trump comes around and it's like ISIS is done between him and then he let Russia deal with ISIS in some way. But that was the one partnership between the two of them where they was like, we need to deal with these guys because we can't deal with each other in this region until we deal with these guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that and then that leads to the loss of credibility. And, you know, so now what we end up with is this is how we get to this Trump moment where this animosity of the previous elite establishment, between the Democrats that were before, because let's be honest, it's been Republicans and Democrats doing this stuff, between the Democrats and even the Republicans that wanted to go into Middle East, all the military industrial complex stuff, all the big oil stuff, all of those things, and all of the post World War II communist, anti-communist, Red Scare politics. Now we're sitting with this built-up bubble of we're done with war in the MAGA group.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if that's, and I don't wonder, I know, I see that some of that's getting carried over onto Trump and what he's doing now. Because some people don't like that are MAGA, that are Republicans. They don't like the Venezuela thing. They don't like the idea of going into South America and starting more wars down in there with those countries. And they don't like all of the posturing with Greenland, right? Because this is shadows of a previous. It's like once bitten, twice shy, where it's a little bit of like, not again, not for our kids. Our peers. I'm not saying you and I, because you and I weren't military combat guys our age and older that went through the last 20 years, and other guys that spent the 20 years before that, the 30 years before that in the sand, that voted for Trump, are like, let's not. Or maybe we should, because maybe we're holding a standard to Trump that is not fair because of the past. Maybe. That's the question. That's the question that we need to answer now, instead of just gut reaction. And
mm-hmm. And Isaac says, to break out of a system of total control that creeps up through the legal system that shuts the people out of the process, you need an authoritarian to restore representation to the people.
They can do that. It's a question of will they?
Mm-hmm.
Will we get our system restored back to us, and how long will that take? It took 30 years before some of these, before the Civil War actually kicked off. Our Civil War, the American Civil War, took 30 years of that happening with those southern states refusing to abide by federal. It's 1860s. It was 1860s, I believe.
It was 1860s, but before that, it was Tim talks about it all the time.
1830s something. It was, I'm not sure exactly when a lot of that, but it was like a buildup. That kind of stuff, getting the South getting taxed, all states' rights issues. Yes, there was slavery and all of that, but if we look at it in a similar kind of civil strife, Funkmaster says it right, civil strife. It takes a while before some things get to a head, whether it's a civil war or whether it's some kind of a regime change and so our foreign policy has been to exploit the soft spots of other countries when there's civil strife. And let's not kid ourselves that Russia and China aren't doing that to us.
Mm-hmm.
We know they are. The Communist Party has been open about that for the last century, better part of the last century. G. Edward Griffin, go look him up. He talks about that stuff. Communist manifestos. All of those things exist out there, and we should heed that. But we are where we are. We have to look forward. We have to deal with the moment we're in with these. What do we do about regime change. We're dealing with internal civil strife. We're looking at external affairs right now, and everybody's kind of like, I'm kind of holding my breath a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to save that for next week because we talked about the past, we're in the present, and next week will be the future. So that was past, present, and future. Really, bro? The Earth doesn't spin that fast.
As the world turns.
I won't say what we said during that moment before the show started, but we'll leave it at that.
Globo, no globo homo.
No. Anyways, but yeah, so now we understand, how all this started after World War II. Now we see the effects of what happened after World War II leading up to 9/11, and some afterwards, some beforehand, but 9/11 was kind of like the crux that was the powder keg into certain controls, right? And it almost seems like it was manufactured, but nobody really knows how and why, but it was. And so now we got to figure out, okay, what does this mean for the future, especially since we have a nation that's divided so hard, which I actually don't think the nation is that divided. I think that there are just voices on the extremes that have a stranglehold on that power, and they're trying to dictate the next move of their counterparts, right?
Yeah, it only takes a small percent, a small double-digit percent of the population to move things.
Exactly.
And the two sides have been bloating, those two extremes, and one has created the other. The woke left early on. I told my buddies, my lefty buddies, that were just kind of like, we were all cool. We grew up playing music together. All that. I was like, guys, if you don't stop calling people Nazis, you're gonna get Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in manifesting. The thing secret was a piece of trash. But when you constantly dog somebody or a particular group of people and you marginalize them, they eventually will adopt that thing. And they'll just be like, well, I guess that's what I am. And I'm just going to be whatever that is, and I don't care. And now we have the woke right. We have these woke right that, some of our buddies call them the Zoomer Waffen, and it's kind of gross and disgusting, a lot gross and disgusting, because they've creeped in between the Christian nationalist stuff that Joel Webbin guy been talking about, race essentialism, and interracial marriage is not normative for biblical terms, and that whole discussion's blown. I'm glad he actually said that and had that debate with Ruslan. If you haven't seen the debate between Joel Webbin and Ruslan, it was informal, but it also had God Logic on there, and then two of Webbin's buddies doing some apologetics and arguing back and forth about interracial marriage. I think you and your wife would enjoy it, AK, if you guys sat down and watched that. I know your wife is a little bit not wanting to be too much into things, but it's like you guys are churchgoers and stuff too. But this cultural moment we're in right now is so on edge. It's political eggshells everywhere. It's with when people are face to face, but online it's like cutting throats. And the fatigue for me is just watching all of that happen all the time, and I have to turn it off and go do something else, let my blood pressure go down. And it's hard for me to do that when I'm like, no, stop it. Let's see what do we got in the chat. I hope people liked this episode tonight. We were kind of on fire.
Yeah.
little bit.
We had a lot to talk about tonight. And I'm gonna have a hell of a lot more to talk about next week. So it's gonna be interesting.
What's he say about Glenn Beck down there?
Check out Glenn Beck's reporting today on Mexican government placing elected officials in the U.S. to support a revolt against the U.S. government. You're going to have to get past the crazy dudes that ride around in pickup trucks with beer in one hand and an AK in the other. Not an AK, a AR.
Our NASCAR infantry division.
NASCAR infantry. Yeah. If you can get past the NASCAR infantry, we will be very shocked and probably very worried.
Yeah, and watch out. You got to watch out for our red Mexicans, because we've got some southern Jim Beaners down there that are as American as the rest of us, and they do not like the garbage that comes across the southern border and we have some awesome Latin guys that have come into this country, and they love it here and they want to protect it. Did you see the clip of John Lemon and the Latino lady where he's like trying to, push that crap down her throat, and she's like, no, you have to come here legally and do it right, do it the right way. And it's like, thank you. What do you have? Okay, well, Taylor Lorenz X says, what do you have if you have an AK in one hand? You have Roman nation's undivided attention.
I got you.
We get some confusion with the whole Roma thing. We've had to kind of start not using Roma because in Europe it refers to like the gypsies and stuff. So we're not gypsies. No, we're not.
That's why we're now Rise of Middle America.
Yeah, we got
Roma stands for ROMA, Rise of Middle America. And for respect, I think that's okay, because I like Rise of Middle America because it makes a lot more sense, and people will listen and say, all right, well, what exactly is Middle America?
Yeah,
right.
Let us know what you guys think is middle. Yeah. Talk to us. What are you guys talking about? We talk to people in the Discord a lot.
Now, I did talk to you earlier about what I think Middle America needs to do right now. All right, but I didn't give you details. So the way that I feel right now, and the way that the country is divided, we talked about how there's these extremes, the 5% on the extremes that are controlling the narrative, and they're like trying to light the powder keg, right? Well, what about the middle that decides, you know what, I don't want you to do that. And in fact, 75% of us don't want you to do that. So if that's the case, then why isn't it that we can't, in Congress, all right, let's look at Congress. It's very close, especially in the House. In the House, it's close. In the Senate, it's a little bit further apart, but I mean, 4 races could change the entire, way that everything works. So why isn't there a small group of Middle Americans that decide, you know what, we're going to go in, we're going to run for Congress, we're going to run as independents, right? And then what we'll decide to do is, we don't need that many of us, but if you had, say, like somewhere between 10 and 15 independents that all work together in Congress and decided, okay, if you guys can't figure shit out and you guys can't figure shit out, then you know what? We're going to sit in the middle and we're going to be the deciding factor. We don't need 100 of us. All we need is 10 to 15. And then when you guys can't figure stuff out, you have to come to us. You have to come to us and convince us as Middle America to pass this legislation.
It's what we're supposed to be able to do is elect people that speak the common person's language, that can go and represent us and speak for us and be that representation. That way we don't have the asking us to pass legislation is supposed to be, hey, campaign. We were kind of talking and there was a conversation came up earlier tonight, before show, not here, but it was at my church, and we were talking about how election works in a theological sense, and I realized something about it in politics is you have to be elected in order to become the thing. We understand this in politics. You have to be. We were talking about like Calvinism and that kind of thing. Like, in order to be saved, you have to be elected. The elect are chosen by God, that kind of thing. So not to get too deep into theology, but it's like, yeah, you don't get elected by being a senator. Now, incumbents generally have a higher success rate of being re-elected, but I digress on that. In order to become that, have that seat, you have to be elected. Like, in order to be the representation, in order to go and do that job and to represent the people, you have to already have the people's approval in order to do that. Period. Like, it doesn't work any other way. So in some way, it's like, I get what you're saying, but like, that's why we already sent them there. It's the problem is accountability with that.
Well, it's because of the laws that they passed to protect themselves. Yeah. In a perfect example of that is the laws that you can't that they can't be harmed or charged with anything when it comes to the stock market, right? And you're wondering why some of these people have a bunch of money. They know it, we know it, but we can't do anything about it because they're protected because of it. They should not be able to pass any legislation that protects themselves outside of the Constitution. But they do. And the more that they do this, the harder it is for us to do so.
I'm being rated.
But there should not be any legislation that you should be able to protect yourself. Could you imagine that? I would love to have legislation to say, hey, you know what? I want to protect myself against my kids on a Friday night when, I'm in here doing my show and they decide that they want to run in. Oh, wait, no. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But why would you set legislation to protect yourself first and then set legislation for everybody else? What's the reason for that?
Corruption likes to get in and shut the door behind it.
Yeah, it was definitely rhetorical, but
yeah. No, but that's the thing is, we're so numb to, on one hand, we're numb to it, like, and a lot of what the hope or the wish is that with Trump, somebody who comes in and speaks that language and calls it out and says the quiet part out loud. I have this love-hate relationship with the way he runs that seat of power, but at this point, it's like, is there any other way to run that seat? That's the real question. Is like, is there any other way for somebody in this moment in time to do that? I don't know. I have trouble with it, but yeah, maybe I'm being a milquetoast fence sitter here in the middle of America.
Well, if you guys want to know more, go to riseofmiddleamerica.com and check out our news, rants, deep dives, as well as our socials. Help make us the largest podcast network on Rumble and Net and YouTube and X. So like, comment, and subscribe. We've got one more segment coming in next week, which is the future of past, present, and future. So make sure that you guys join us and help us out.
We could talk about the WEF. We'll just pack everything in next week. I mean, the Greenland thing. We could talk about the WEF. We could talk about World Health Organization stuff that happened. We're just gonna wrap it in one big bow on all of this stuff, and then look in the future. So, just be one big speculative. Like, here's where we are. Here's the things, and there's the direction everything's going, and be like, yeah, talk about it. We're gonna talk about that stuff.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time in our Discord. So make sure you guys go to riseofmiddleamerica.com and check us out. But anyways, Scrap, it's been a pleasure as always.
I am your Rust Belt Rage Baiter.
Yes.
You can find me everywhere. You can find me at Scrapjaw.
Yes, sir. You can find me at @therealRoma_AK on X. I'm your resident DEI CEO, as usual. There's the globe. It does not move that fast, Scrap. You have to understand that. So, without further ado,
Pole shift. Shift.
No. Oh, that's it. We're screwed.
That's it. We're done. We're out.
Yes. Everybody, be safe. All right. Be safe this weekend. There's a lot of snow going out. It's going to affect 200 million people. So make sure you have at least enough food to last you for a week or 2 weeks or whatnot. Outside of that, have a great night, and we will see you next week. Thank you very much, and have a great night.
Deuces.
Peace.
Hustle in my veins, no rest, no dream, trying to make a way. Whole team gotta eat. No sleep, gotta keep going. No sleep, till the world know it. No sleep, till the world know it. No sleep, till the world know it. I've been moving like a clock, don't stop, no breaks, no rest, no time to flop. Gotta get it while I'm breathing, never taking a loss. See the pain in my eyes, but the vision stay locked. Ain't nobody finna hand me a thing. Came from the bottom, I rose through the rain. Hustle like I never had a meal on my plate. Now we eating so good that the hunger remains. Fast lane, never slowing my pace. Tell them I was built for the chase. Every night trying to double my worth. Put my name in the sky, make it shake up the earth. Oh, I ain't getting no sleep till I touch that peak. Oh, I've been grinding all week. Ain't no stopping me. Late nights turn to early moans. Put the work in till the break of dawn. They was sleeping on the kid, now they call my phone. Now the city know my name, I've been putting them on. Ayy, tunnel vision when I step on the field. Gotta keep it real, never sign no deal. Independent, gotta get it, never needed a cosign. When the world told me wait, I was like, no time.